Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fifth at Night, y'all. We here. Let me hit that bomb. We're gonna talk to the fellas today. Mostly, shout outs to the ladies that are part of the original cast of the show. Most of them couldn't make it, but it's all good though. We're gonna have a good show. We got some new people who have joined us on this Fifth at Night episode, and we're gonna introduce them and see what's up. Also, some people you have seen before, So looks like everybody's here. Well, almost everybody, but let me go ahead and bring my peoples up. Oh, the topic, very important. So today's topic. This is a good one. This is a good one. What responsibility do men have beyond themselves? So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into why. This is gonna be a discussion. And see what all the fellas think. So let me go ahead and bring my brother Ray up to the stage. Ray, what up, brother?
Yes, good evening, man. Good to be here.
What's going on? As
I'm
usual.
all right. Thanks for having me, my brother.
Oh, absolutely, man. I had to have you for this episode, man. Definitely, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, we got a newcomer to the program. Met this brother on TikTok, man. Smart young brother, man. Gotta give him as much respect. KJ, what up, brother? Can you hear us?
Hey, Jay, what's going on, man? Welcome.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Awesome.
All right.
How y'all doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Real good, man. Welcome to the other show that I do, man. How you doing, man?
Hey, listen, I got a peep of your YouTube page about a week ago, and it's funny you hit me up to be on the podcast because I was already considering it. So
there we go.
Glad to be here for sure.
Absolutely. More of the fellas is coming in. Beyonder, you already know Beyonder. Beyonder be here. Zacchaeus will be here. Waiting for another brother to come to the stage when he's ready, because I invited him as well. So this is gonna be a good one. I got a lot of questions for tonight, and also for those who are on their phones with StreamYard, because this is broadcasted on YouTube. For the viewers can see this on YouTube as well. But for those who are coming on as a guest, StreamYard, if you're using it from your phone, you want to put your phone on silent or vibrate, because if you get a phone call or a text, it'll just take your sound out. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely want to do that. If you're on you want to be using either Chrome or Safari. If you're on your computer, you want to be using Chrome or Safari, and just make sure your settings are picked in your mic, is the mic you're talking into, and the speakers that you want to hear out of. You know what I'm saying? That way we don't have no technical difficulties. Zacchaeus, my brother, what's good, man?
Hey, what's good, man? What's good? Yeah.
Hey, Zacchaeus, how you doing, man?
What's good? Yeah, man.
What's good?
Yeah, man. Just had the daughter's big graduation today, man.
Congratulations on that.
Oh man, congratulations, the baby girl, man. Well, she's not a baby girl no more, but I know her as baby girl.
No, yes.
Congratulations. We got bomb for her. Yeah.
Hey, man. Just curious, everybody behave themselves?
Say it again, Ray.
Zacchaeus, does everybody behave themselves at the ceremony?
Oh yeah.
Thank goodness. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's so good. Yeah, man.
Okay, good. Glad to hear that.
That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up. So
yeah,
it's a good thing. our brother KJ is here. KJ, it's funny because I considered you, but I wanted to wait until there was enough weeks because the brothers that do it with me, they know what I do outside of TikTok. But I met you on TikTok, so I just want to make sure there was a couple weeks in before I get you in on this. You know what I'm saying? So I have to have you on here a couple times. You know what I'm saying? So and we'll that'll be in the future. Don't worry about it. And we always rock together on TikTok, so I appreciate that, man.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So Beyonda was here. I'm waiting on the brother Keithan. I guess he'll get here when he can, but
Yeah.
I'll let him know what's up. So
Yeah.
but this is what I'm gonna do. We're just gonna get into the topic, man. So my first question, man, is so the reason for this topic, right? Some of us are single, some of us are married, some of us have kids, some of us don't have kids, right?
Yeah.
But then even with that being said, we still matter to the community that that whether we grew up there or welcome to. We'll kind of get to what I mean by that. You know what I'm saying? But so what responsibilities does a man have beyond paying his own bills? Who wants to answer that first?
I think you said paying his own bills.
What responsibilities does a man have beyond paying his own bills?
I think being responsible for himself, being in other words, being an asset to the community. Do what he got to do to take care of himself, making sure that his loved ones are safe, making sure that that he can connect with people in his community, and just be a positive asset to the community, and to also to also be able to connect with maybe they see some kids, maybe set an example for some people around them, like as other younger people that's underneath them. Let's say you don't have kids, you don't have to have kids. Your niece, your nephews, or maybe some kids in the community that see you walking by as a positive light, stuff like that. You could be a single guy, no marriage, no kids, and nothing, and still be an asset, and still be like a positive light to a beacon in the community to the other people to look up to. You're gonna be like, well, that's a positive young man right there, man, and that's a positive brother right there, and that could be, and also being able to take care of yourself too, because believe it or not, health is important, man. Health is very important, man. I mean, I can't stress that even more. Health and your mental health too. Can't forget that either. Mental health is important, man. Because when you see young men these days walk around and their head is not good, like the West Indian people say, their head is not good, and it's a very important. It's a very important thing, man, that your mental health is straight, and you getting and you being able to maintain a good mental health balance and your spiritual growth, physically growth, may be able to exercise your body and be able to eat the right food that you need to fuel you and get your mindset right. And a lot of these things are big factors in a person's ability to be a good asset in the community, So yeah, those things are important, man. So I mentioned that. Yeah.
Absolutely. KJ, what do you think, brother? What responsibilities does a man have beyond paying his own bills? What do you think?
I would agree. Definitely more of a responsibility to himself. As far as a community goes, I'm not really for prioritizing that, more so prioritizing self. That way you can, if you so choose, be an asset to the community. But I think it's safe to say that throughout history of how men generally tend to operate, especially in the past, and how they prioritized everybody else above themselves, how it was detrimental to their health long term. And that could be a matter of spiritual, physical, emotional, psychological. There's a wide variety of ways in how not prioritizing self can be detrimental to all aspects of your said health. So paying bills is good. You want to be useful to those that you care for, whether that be your parents, your children, your wife, et cetera, et cetera. But all of that will always be considered as bare minimum, especially when it pertains to your children. So they could care less about you paying the bills, and so could everybody else, because that's what you're supposed to do. But it's a whole different monster if you're doing the bare minimum, but you were still a terrible father, you were still a terrible husband, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're not prioritizing your own health, right, mixing a little bit of selfishness in with your selfless behavior, your selfless demeanor, right, what it can end up doing is that it can lead you to crashing out in wide variety of different ways. Our suicidality is up, and it's been going up for the past decade, and it hasn't dropped yet. So I think that the best thing that a man can do outside of just pay his bills is prioritize himself fully. And if he truly wants to be an asset to outside factors, not talking about family, but you want to be an asset to the said community, then do that. That is your prerogative. But you can't be an asset to the community if you can't even be an asset to yourself.
I like
I
that.
think I
Ray,
think
go ahead, brother.
yeah, what they said sums it up because
Yeah.
speaking for myself, I know what it's like to prioritize others.
I can't hear him.
Before, can you hear me?
KJ, can you hear me?
I can hear everybody else, but I can't hear him.
You can't hear Ray?
You can't hear me at all?
So Ray, I can hear you. KJ, are you using your phone, right? You got your phone on silent or vibrate?
Yeah.
Using Chrome or Firefox? I mean,
Uh,
or Safari.
Safari.
Safari? Okay. Hit refresh because I want you to be able to hear Ray, okay?
All
Yeah.
right, 1 second.
And it'll come back in. Okay. We're gonna wait for him to come back because no, what he said was really dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And eloquently said.
So
Yeah.
I almost don't have an answer for that. So
Yeah. No, he did pretty good.
Mhm.
Let me see.
But I'll wait till he comes back. Speak my piece.
KJ, can you hear right now? Can you hear all of us?
Yeah, I heard him. Speak one more time just in case.
Okay. Yeah, you hear me?
Set up for me to read.
Yep.
All right, go ahead. Oh, dang, Siri's bugging on my phone. Ray, go ahead and talk.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
There we go. All right, go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, as I said, everything these gentlemen said sums it up. I know what it's like to prioritize others, thinking that because I'm thinking that by doing that, I'm not being selfish, I'm being selfless, but it doesn't help because when you're not in tune with self, and so that you can to be an example and help others, it does more harm than good. It does total harm if you don't give yourself that priority, because when you're in tune with self and you commune with self, then you'll have that healthiness to be that example in any positive way, to be the asset in any positive way, so that others will benefit by seeing how you treat you, because how you treat you sets the tone, can possibly set the tone for how others would treat you and respect you in any way.
That's right.
Because if let's take family for example, I'm sure that we know people who have put family members ahead of ourselves, and it don't really benefit. They're not really showing gratitude. They take you for granted. So, and that goes with friends and any type of relationships you have, whether it be family, community, work, or anything. So, I think that if you do the best you can to be an asset to anyone and everyone who's trying to do the same thing. You know, whether it be the responsibility you have with how you handle people, the diplomacy you have, you know, how even how you help others, how you invest in others, not just financially, but you know, morally. You know, it helps, but it does, as the gentleman said, it does start from within. And when you work on self first, then you will benefit and everyone else will benefit around you when you decide to be amongst the community, amongst or in any field, in any environment, work, job, church, what have you. So it starts from within.
Absolutely. Beyond it, can you hear us?
Maybe, yeah.
What's
Hey,
going on,
Beyond that.
man?
Going on.
Turn your phone sideways so you can go full screen. All right.
No, sorry, wrong thing. I don't know what you mean.
It's
I
supposed
don't
to
know what you
go.
mean.
It's
It's
supposed to
not.
go.
It's not doing that though. There
There
we
it
go.
is.
Okay.
There it is.
Perfect. Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So beyond it, man, we got into a few questions.
Okay.
Well, actually, one question. To be honest with you, so we're
Mm-hmm.
still on it, so we could ask you. Okay. So, what responsibilities does a man have beyond paying his own bills?
Beyond paying his own bills, he
Yeah.
has.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What are you trying to get at though? Like, what do you mean? It's like,
All right. So the fellas, you missed what the fellas were saying. So,
yeah.
um, you're an individual, of course, right? But yes, you have your own responsibility, but you also
Mm-hmm.
have like you could have family, you could not have family, you could have immediate brothers and sisters, cousins, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Other than just you being an individual and an adult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are there people that you want to inspire?
Oh, I see what you
People who
mean
may
now.
look
Oh,
up to
yeah. I
you?
mean,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, if you're a single man or single person in general, I mean, you're responsible for, making disciples wherever
Mm-hmm.
you go,
Mm-hmm.
sharing the good news. Um, yeah, that's what I would say in terms of responsibility. Because everyone has to pay their own bills and go to work and do all that other stuff. Everyone does that.
Right.
But outside of that, like, I say those are the two main things. Um, and this is like being like an example for other people and like showing them, like how to live life, you know,
Yeah.
by like, bearing fruit of the Holy Spirit, of course. And I would say along those lines. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna move on to the next question. This is more tied to like manhood and what society deems it, right?
Okay.
So, does manhood require responsibility to others?
Yeah.
Who wants to answer that? KJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say yes. It definitely requires responsibility to others. And
Mm-hmm.
I can go on about how, you have to be responsible for yourself before you can be responsible for others. But I'm
Yep.
pretty sure we touched on that already. So I
Yeah.
don't need to reiterate it. But the definite part of being manhood is your reliability, your usefulness.
Yeah.
If you don't have that level of usefulness, then whether you or your mom may not consider you as such, society will always consider you as a bum. And that's just the reality. If you cannot give your if you cannot give anything of substance to the people that ought to make use of you, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
that be your parents as they get older, whether that be your wife, your children, right? Then what are you literally there for? There's only one demographic or two demographics that get to just sit pretty and just be around. That's women and kids. So like we're talking about a man's usefulness and if he has a responsibility to be useful, absolutely. You know, you don't get to just sit. There's no such thing as a trophy husband. I don't care what the internet tries to tell you. There's no such thing as a trophy husband. Right? It's probably one of the zestiest things you can do as a man, realistically speaking. But yeah, that's where I sit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Ray, does
Yep.
manhood require responsibility to others? What do you think, Ray?
Yes, definitely. And I think it goes to say that the one, the one thing that definitely defines a man is if he keeps his word.
Yeah,
At least, and I say, since nobody's perfect, I'd say 98% of the time, they always say, be a man of your word. Because without your word, you have nothing. If you and even if you can't 100% keep your word, which nobody can, as I said, do it for the most part. So if you're planning, for example, if you're planning to do something, you're planning to meet up with somebody, or you're planning a hangout. If for whatever reason you can't make the hangout, you do the responsible thing and text or call. Because if you've already given your word to be part of this hangout, and for whatever reason you can't show up, you don't leave your people hanging because they're depending on you to show up and be responsible. So if you a man of your word and you say you're going to attend, and for whatever reason you can't, the responsible thing is maintain your good character and let people know you can't make it. Because prime example, I was someone a homegirl wanted to take me out last week, 2 weekends ago. I said to her, I have these 2 dates that I'm free. Get back to me. I haven't heard from her, and I didn't simp out and say, "Are we still on?" It was her responsibility. She didn't contact me. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. It ain't that serious. So for us men, let's be men of our words.
well said. Zacchaeus, man, does
Man,
manhood?
I can relate to that, man. You know much people had stood me up before and stood up other people before. That's so true. I had many people, even with music, when I was doing music back in the days, I remember, oh, I'll meet you, I'll meet you, I'll meet you. No call, no show. Sometimes I would take a day off of work and it would be no call, no show. And that's men doing that, not even women. That's men doing that. No call, no show. Then when they meet you, you run into them, it's always a lame excuse. Listen, I had to, I had an argument with telling me he had an argument with his uncle. This man is 50 something years old. This is back in this was back in like, let me see, early 2000s. This man is 50 something years old. He's like 10 years older than me, telling me he had an argument with his uncle. I said, your uncle is that? I said, that's an excuse. They lie. You know much people are not people of their word, and they lie. They just be honest and say you just don't want to do it. That's more respectable. That's more responsible. Just do that. You know much people that say I'm gonna be there for their kids, and don't show up for their kids. There's a man that, let me see, his name was Wayne too, like me, but there was a sad situation, man. He told his son that he's gonna be there to do his homework with him. This is back in the early days, and I was friends with him, but I lost connection with him, and I'm no longer, because he's not. I can see he's not. If he's not a man of the word for your child, he said you're gonna show up to help him do his homework. How you gonna be a man? How are you gonna be a man of your word for your friends? The ones you come to be boys. And if you can't even show up for your kid, your own family, your own flesh and blood, what makes you think you can be a person to show up for for your people? And guess what? Found out to be so true. The man is a no. There's so much people I met like that. There's no call, no show. They say they'll join the program. They say, like, for example, like this. Oh, I'll be there fifth. Don't hear from them for weeks. And then you run into them. You're like, oh, what happened to you? Oh, man, had an argument, man. Situation, man. Wow, man. Oh, man. I'm sorry, man. Yo, next time. Then you give, then they said next time, no. And they do the same thing to you again. No call, no show. Fifth, do you invite them again?
No, but see here, all right, because we're going a little away from the question, but I would say like this: you wear at a person's personality when you know that you are not reliable, right? And so that's kind of something to what KJ said earlier about men, right? But see, men, I think, are taught more. Well, let's hope they are. But I feel like men honor or should honor integrity more as opposed to women are taught about integrity. So Ray, you mentioned the two ladies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things, you'll hear more men make a case about how important integrity is than women do. So when a woman stands you up, that is seen differently from when a man stands them up. Let a man stand them up, all hell breaks loose. Let a woman do it, it's, oh, well, you don't know what happened before. I think you need to know. There's always nuance. And I'm not trying to make it a gender thing, but I'm just saying to Zacchaeus' point and to what your original point was, Ray, is that this is why it's judged differently. Should it be? No, because adults should be people of their word.
Right.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they're a man or a woman. But it just goes to show you what's put higher than others. But back to the question, does manhood require responsibility to others? You can go ahead and further answer that, Zacchaeus.
Yeah. Yeah, because you see, when you're a man, the Bible says you put away childish things, right?
Yeah.
And when you're a man, you're supposed to be responsible, not only for yourself, but when you're a man, you're supposed to portray that by being responsible. Like, for example, being responsible for yourself and making sure that the things that you said you're gonna do, you're gonna pursue, you're gonna do. And some you get bumps and cracks in the road, but you still learn from your mistakes. And you still, as you learn from your mistakes, you pick yourself up and you learn from them, and you continue with your life's journey. And as a man, some people say, "Oh yeah, you follow." The Bible says, if you're not a man if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And the truth of the matter is, if you're a person that you're not taking a stand for, let's say, for example, the gospel, or you're not taking a stand for what's righteous and what you say, what you know what is right, we know what is right or wrong. And some of us, yes, we're gonna make mistakes, but some of us, sometimes we go back and we fall back in the same position that we wasn't from before, because we make mistakes and sometimes we fall. But it doesn't mean because we fall, we just stay there. We get ourselves back up as a man. We dust our shoes off, and that's what makes you a man. You move on. You move on from a broken heart. Broken up. You and your woman. You broke up, and you learn from you learn from that situation, and you move on. Or you make a mistake at the job, or you make a mistake certain places. You learn from it and you move on. And then you get older, and then you get into a relationship, and then eventually you have kids. You teach your kids that too. You don't beat yourself up for a mistake. You learn from it and you move on. So yes, I agree with that. You do have a responsibility as a man. You do.
I just realized I was still muted. Beyond the question, does manhood require responsibility to others?
Yeah, I'd say so. Even if like you're a bachelor, I mean, you're still responsible for the people, how you treat them. If you're being generous, right? that plays a part into it as well. And I would say by default, we're all responsible to a degree, because if you're irresponsible, right, you're going to make some bad choices to hurt somebody else. So if you're responsible for yourself first, then that'll allow you as a man to be able to handle the authority and responsibility for somebody else. You'll be able to handle your position as a leader a lot better. If you hold yourself accountable for your own actions, then you'll be able to be in a spot from an authority standpoint to be able to handle, whatever challenges come your way, whether you're a boss at work or even taking care of a customer, taking care of a patient, like all that is reflective of like real life. It all plays a part into you, having integrity, like we said before, responsibility, right? Compassion for other people, not prideful. I mean, we all have pride as men. Men are definitely prideful, for the most part, but not letting that be like the main steering wheel. Because we all have pride, but pride can't be like your main, it can't be your driver's seat. Like that can't be the one driving your car. You have to have control of your own things, and all that other stuff will come with it. If that makes any sense.
So here's the follow-up to that question. Is responsibility something society can demand from men, or something men choose?
Men choose.
You choose it. It's a choice.
Yeah, you can't.
Choices. Yeah.
You can't force men to take. You can't force women to take responsibility for their actions. So you can't make men do it, because men have the monopoly of force. Unless you force them to, I guess. But taking responsibility is more of an inside thing. It's not like take it or else. It has to be like what you do as you choose it. If you don't choose it, then it is what it is.
Let's stay right there, because all of us, all of you fellas have been on panels with me on TikTok, and we've had ladies and fellas together, right?
Right.
A lot of men catch heat for things other men do or don't do.
Absolutely.
So society does demand stuff from us. Although individually, yes, as a man, you're going to choose it. But it seems like regardless of what the other doesn't do, the man is going to be held more to a higher level of why he didn't do the thing that they deemed he should have done.
So you're saying that one decision from one affects all of us? Is that what you're saying?
Unfairly, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's what they put on us. Like, for instance, right? Me and you, Beyonda, have not done a crime today. But I would hope. But there's but there's a brother who looks like you and me, who may have done a crime. Yeah. And somebody will say, see, these men, where they at? They ain't helping, they ain't do. And then you're like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, because and once again, I ain't trying to make it, but it is what it is. But somewhere there's a woman who just neglected her child, but you will never hear all women held accountable for that. They'll just say, "Oh, that's just that one woman."
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So society is more on our case about our collectivism versus theirs.
You kind of have to peel the layer back as to why that is.
We can talk about it.
And I've said this numerous times. We're living in days of Noah.
Mm-hmm.
I've said that confidently. I believe that wholeheartedly, because you have to understand how the days of Noah operated back then. Back then, women were elevated because of the fact that they had been birthing these godly beings, right? And so they had been like elevated in status over regular men. So now like obviously the method's different, but the formula is the same thing. women are being elevated in society to the point where they have a lot more privileges and are absolved of their own bad decisions. Like you just said, one woman can do that one thing, but that's just that one woman. And so other women won't be lumped in with her. Now, if it was men, totally opposite, right? Same formula, different method. Obviously, women aren't giving birth to Nephilim anymore because they're not here. At least not, whatever. But it's the same exact.
Well, they still raising demons though.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same exact. The same formula, right? But I think fifth. I think personally, I think that people are slowly starting to push back on that whole thing, lumping in people that have nothing to do with that crime. And you brought up a good example about someone looking like me doing a crime. That's a little different because people the society views blacks a little differently, right? But I'm not gonna lie, there's a reason for that. I don't agree with it, but it's a good reason for that because we're the minority, right? We take about what 13% of the entire
That's what we
population.
have.
Yeah, exactly. So, let me ask you a question, Fifth. If you go to China, right, and you look up the demographics of people who commit crime in China, who do you think commits the most crime in China?
That's a homogenous country. So being that's a homogenous country, it's going to be the group of that country, which is mostly comprised of Chinese people.
Right. If you go to Africa, right, people who are born in Africa, who do you think commits the most crime there?
It's going to be, that's another, if we're talking about an African country to be specifically, since we're talking
Right.
about a continent,
Yeah.
if we're talking about Nigeria or, the Congo, it's going to be those people
Right.
of that particular nation. Yeah.
My point is that here in America, it's mostly white people that live here,
Yes, sir.
but the black community does the most violent crime, but we're only 13% of the population. So because black people are the ones doing the most crime, right? That kind of puts a bad taste in everyone's mouths when it comes to talking about people like us. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's what it is. And there's a fundamental piece there that's been removed from the black community because how did we go from nuclear family, about 40% of the community being nuclear in the 60s, 70s, to now, blacks are the ones committing the most crime or most violent crime. How did we get there?
Yeah, I'm gonna let KJ answer what I'm going to say. Go ahead, KJ.
Roosevelt's welfare feminism. Which one you want me to elaborate on?
Go into Roosevelt.
Roosevelt's created the welfare system. Essentially was, I forget what specific bill it was. I'll have to look. I have to find it. But essentially through policy, his administration was the one that pushed for the welfare state, and the requirement for that was that a woman couldn't.
Dang, it happens to him every time, man. It happens to him every time.
It does.
What happened?
Go ahead, KJ. Cut out. Go back to the welfare system.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, Roosevelt's administration created a policy that was basically welfare and how we see it today. And the requirements for that set of welfare was that you couldn't have a man in the home in order to receive these benefits. Now, during that time, those government benefits, they were exponentially greater compared to what a man was bringing home on average during that time.
Mhm.
So a lot of women took that as, I don't need you because the government is going to be able to provide for me and my kids better than you would be able to provide for me and my kids. Now, That's just from a structural basis and how generations beyond that started to develop that I don't need no man mentality, which is where we get into the feminist aspect. Let's make this point abundantly clear. Feminism was never in favor for black people inherently. Feminism was made in direct response to black men getting voting rights before white women did. Hence the suffrage movement. If you think I'm lying, you can look this up yourself. So because of how feminism has infiltrated the black community in the sect of intersectional feminism, which is feminism for a multitude of different demographics, whether that be LGBTQ, different racial demographics, Black, Asian, Latino, et cetera, right? They've pushed for different demographics of women to be a part of this movement slash belief system. Now you have feminist ideology that has almost become ingrained to where you can almost argue that it's inherent because of how women have preceded themselves as they grow up, right? Based on how the environment that they grew up in, especially black women, is not the vast majority, but a decent chunk of households, especially during the time where intersectional feminism was coming up, a lot of those households were fatherless. So you did have a lot of women that didn't have a father in the home. So that I don't need a man mentality was definitely ingrained because they watched their mothers raise them without the man in the home. So that gets into how throughout the history of America all the way up to present day, where you have a wide variety of women who no longer prioritize nuclear family, prioritize having, at the bare minimum, co-parenting with their children so that they have both a man and a woman in their life. Hypothetically, you don't even have to have both of them in the home. Let's say that you did have them out of wedlock. At least have the man active. But we don't even do that. We have a child support system that incentivizes women to have children out of wedlock, put the man down on child support, and without any repercussion, prevents him from seeing his child while also simultaneously taking his money. We've seen this time and time again, right?
Yes.
You would think that this was just a fluke, right? Because of how a lot of these TV shows that we watched growing up were scripted, right? Like Maury Povich, Jerry Springer, Paternity Court, all of those things, right? But then you find out the older that you get that no, this is real life based on real life scenarios
Designed to
where
be
you
that.
have where you
Yeah.
have men who, especially black men, who want to be a part of their children's lives and just can't. But you also have men who are paying for children that don't belong to them. And to take it a step further, you have men that know that that child doesn't belong to them, but are forced by law to still pay child support because they signed the birth certificate before they got a paternity test. So there's a wide variety of issues as to why black men especially are dealing with the issues that they're dealing with both women and the lack of seeing their children. A lot of the times, I would probably feel more comfortable saying the vast majority of times, you do have a lot of black men who are just grossly irresponsible and they don't show up for their kids. But in the cases where it's enough cases where it should raise more eyebrows, especially in the black female demographic, that you have a lot of black men that want to be active in their children's lives, that want to be married, that want to make up for the mistakes that they've made in the proper way, in a, dare I say, a godly manner, right? But are prevented from doing so because you have a lot of bitter women that don't want anything to do with them. So by proxy, they take it out on the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ray Zacchaeus. Give me one moment. I need to respond to Beyonda's crime thing.
Please go ahead.
Now, Beyonda, I've never disagreed with you since I've met you. But before I do, I need to ask this question.
Go ahead.
What crime are you pertaining to?
Violent crime.
Are you sure?
Positive, yeah. Violent crime.
And black
We
people?
we don't have to use TikTok friendly language when we're up here, right?
Sort of.
Kind of.
Sort of. YouTube basically is the blueprint for why TikTok has the guidelines that it has because it learned from YouTube first. And then
Well,
TikTok basically
technically,
took it and
they sold it to Israel. That's what it was.
oh, you talking about TikTok?
Yes, that's why. Before
Oh,
it was fine, and then it kind of like got ruined. So
oh, the Ellison family.
yeah,
Yeah, because they own Oracle and own TikTok now. But yeah, they basically took it to more of an extreme.
but yes, I'm referring to violent crime.
Violent crime.
I'm not referring to crime in general. I'm referring to violent crime.
So violent crime includes a lot of things beyond
Stabbings, shootings, like yeah. I mean, not against like other races, against ourselves. You know, yeah.
Okay, I
I'm
mean,
aware that we as a community definitely like are a threat to ourselves more than let's say the white demographic or the Hispanics. It's the black on black crime, black on black.
okay. So is it just black on black crime or proximity crime?
What does that mean? Proximity crime, like the hood, like the environment.
Yeah,
Black on black crime is proximity crime.
yeah.
Yeah, usually.
I'm saying the narrative. So it's really proximity crime, but in the 70s, the narrative was, oh, well, that's black on black crime. But when other races do crime against each other, they don't call it Chinese on Chinese crime. They don't call it they don't call it Mexican on Mexican crime in America.
It's because everything is racial in this country. That's why it's a big deal, because they've made it a big deal. Like the black community, and every time, like even the Carmelo Anthony thing, right? With that kid Metcalf, I think was it Metcalf?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an entirely. It wouldn't have been a big deal if it had been a white person that did it, or if it was a black and black person. But because there was a black to white person, it's like much bigger deal. And if it was the other way around, it'd be a big deal. Call the white person racist or whatever. But now it's like every single crime, whether it be police or just regular citizens, everything is racial now.
Well, we just had in Zacchaeus, we did Mr. Z and fifth episode about this, where we talked about the store owner Rick Chow running down.
Yeah,
he got off, didn't he?
Yes, he got off. Cypher Belton.
Yeah, Cyrus Belton.
Yeah,
so
and yeah.
So that's a deal, but that's a deal obviously because of how that situation played out and who it happened to, right? Yeah. So let that have been the other way around, right? And that would have been Rick Jones shooting, Mr. Lynn like that. What do you think would have happened?
Right. What they've done is they've diluted the value of the black man while also trying to make it seem like they're more important than regular people. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, for example, like this case in general, right? That Chinese man or whoever it was probably shouldn't have gotten off, for being honest, right? But because it was a black person, didn't really matter, right?
Black kid.
Whenever it was the cop on George Floyd, his life was seen as more important. I'm trying to see like they do this like seesaw thing, where they pick and choose when the black man is or the black woman is important or not, And it's a game they've been playing with the black community for decades, and no one seems to be catching on to that.
KJ, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have quite a lot of disagreements with what I just heard, but just so we're clear on the Cyrus Belton case, have we all watched the video?
Videos, absolutely. Okay.
Videos, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
the videos that they played in the courtroom are released.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Are they really?
So
yeah, they're on YouTube.
Okay.
So based on the video, right? The videos, I should say. The first thing that I want to push back on is that I don't believe that it's necessarily that they devalued us. I think that we haven't been consistent with the value that we want to push towards people on the outside, right? You can't say that Black Lives Matter in one breath and not be consistent with that through and through. Like, I think that fifth, you used the right terminology, and I will be using this terminology from here on out. When it comes to proximity crime within the Black community, there is little to no protest or outrage about these things, partially because we as a people have gotten so used to it, when it really shouldn't have been normalized to begin with. Now, I know for a fact I'm the youngest one in here, but does anybody want to explain to me why in the east side of Detroit it's gotten exponentially worse in my community and for my generation, as opposed to getting better? When the parents are the ones that are responsible when it comes to bettering the community, creating a village for the children so that they have an environment of not only their parents, but mentors so that they can be valid mentees as they grow older. We don't have that as much as what I would imagine used to be before I was born. Now, when it comes to the cases of Cyrus Belton and Carmelo Anthony, let's keep it a buck. This was a 14-year-old kid that had a weapon. Did he use it? No. But was there reasonable suspicion to believe that he was going to use it? Yes. Why? Because according to testimony, he reached for it after he dropped it, after he tripped and fell. So so I don't care what anybody says. We all know that if we had sons that did something stupid like chase a 14-year-old potential and proven to be not robber out of the store, outside of your property, right? But if you saw that this supposed robber was grabbing for a weapon, you not thinking twice. You lighting his ass up. Let's keep it a buck. Rick Child did exactly what any father would do. Is it just? I personally don't believe so. I don't think that they should have chased him out at all. And had they gone for manslaughter, this would have been a completely different conversation, but they didn't do that. The prosecution fumbled the bag. We know this. Now, as for the Carmelo case, let's keep it a buck. This is also a young man who, just like Cyrus Belton, was not getting the proper attention and tailored to parenting that he was entitled to, which is why he felt it appropriate to bring a knife to on school grounds and use it under the minimalist of circumstances. The probability of Carmelo getting off because the defense is already rested. The probability of Carmelo getting off on this is very, very low. Is it possible? Yes. And we would have to be objective with the law as to why he did get off. But the likelihood is not high. Not based on the witness testimony, based on what the medical examiner said, et cetera, et cetera. So what's my main point? We would be in a very different position if we as a community actually prioritize the generations beyond. Maybe you wouldn't see as much disproportionate crime within our communities if we prioritized, for number one, why our culture has gone on a rapid decline and why our fathers are no longer in the home as much as they used to. These are very rampant issues. So over time, it's not the white men that devalued black people. It's black people that devalue black people while trying to make it seem as though that we are still valuable. But through actions over the past 40 or 50 years, we've seen the people from the outside looking in have seen the exact opposite. You can't say Black Lives Matter and don't act like it. That's just not how that works.
What exactly are you opposed to in regard to it? I feel like I was stating one factor as to why, and then you stated another fact. I think they coincide to a degree. Because all I was saying was I wasn't saying the white people were dividing. I was saying the media, like how they portray us in the media, is how like whenever they portray a black person in the media, it's never like, it's hardly ever like a scholar. It's always like something to do with crime or like the Chicago, Detroit, or whatever. Like this Carmelo Anthony thing, or like all I'm saying is that like the media pick and choose when they want to say me matter, and then they choose, oh well, he did this crime against a white person. I'm just saying that there's a pattern here. I've seen it too many times to see like, okay, they either care or they don't, and they choose when they care. It's not really care. It's more so, oh, let's go ahead and pamper the black people and give them, a pat in the back, or like, hey, you guys matter too. They don't really care. And I'm saying that we as a community don't carry either because we're not seeing the pattern there.
Yeah, I would agree when it comes to care with the narrative that media generally puts out about black people, especially, that is not really that they don't really care. I would definitely agree with you on that aspect. But when it comes to image perception, image is something that is portrayed by the either the individual or the collective. So if the collective was prioritizing the image that they claim to be, narrative driven and so racially motivated, then maybe perhaps if black people change their thinking on a cultural level, right? Instead of glorifying the atrocities that we do. And by glorifying, I mean not actually holding people accountable for the things that they do that could be detrimental not only to the community, but to the next generation. They would rather bypass it.
We have the reason why certain things are the way they are because a lot of us have a crab in the barrel mentality. We don't want to help the next man out. And it's been like that for the longest time. It's not like how it used to be in the civil rights movement where you look out for a kid and you grab a kid and you look out. Those days are over when you look out for a kid in the neighborhood. And because as you can see, the Cyrus Belton situation is happening more rampant. More and more young people, 14-year-olds, younger, or even in the early 20s are going and we're getting stereotyped and it's because of we have a responsibility in our community and we don't have it anymore. We don't look out for each other anymore because of even with music we allowed the powers that be to take over everything. We don't hold into everything. We don't hold everything because we are divided. It was still in the regime of we're still in the society of divide and conquer. Still here. It hasn't gone anywhere. I'm gonna dig into a little history too myself. The Kerner Commission with and Lyndon B. Johnson, right? Dr. King was supposed to get that Kerner Commission before he was assassinated, right? And it was supposed to put out like if we unite together as a one, get rid of and know what the powers that be are doing to us, like separating the women from the black men, taking them out the homes and let the women. It was designed that way, and Dr. King, as well as other leaders, were supposed to come together and they were supposed to change that. But before that happened, they got rid of him. But let's back away from history now. We decided to go against each other. We fight against each other. We don't respect each other, and this is why certain things happen. This is why other communities don't respect us because we don't have a unison. You see, the Asian community has a way of circling their money in the community. Same thing with the Hebrew community. They have a way of circling their money around the community. We don't have that. The only thing we have is our skin complexion. That's more. Am I on the right track?
Yeah, individualism.
Yeah. Yes, that's the only thing that we have superficial.
You would agree to this. A lot of we're talking about black success.
Yes,
it's really done on an individual level. Oprah Winfrey, LeBron, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, we don't.
Those are all individuals, but as a community,
yeah, we don't have that anymore. We don't have that. Like, let me look out for your kids. Let me see what so and so do. We don't have that. Everybody's for self, and we don't have that unison, that cohesiveness. We don't have it. So this is why certain things are the way it is, and this is why even with hip hop, you hear all these artists getting unalive because we don't have that. Because we allow the prison connect with the hip hop, and we allow everything just to control us. And why and it's a lot of things financially and mentally. We are just lost as a people in this wilderness. And because of that, this is why certain things is the way it is.
And it also reminds me of a hit. I don't know. I'm sure Zacchaeus remembers. I don't know if the rest of y'all remember. In 1990, the West Coast Rap All Stars came out with a song called "We're All in the Same Game."
Yes, absolutely.
I remember buying the cassette. You're gonna see where I'm going with this because it covers everything. I bought the single cassette, but on the B side of it is a hit called "Telling Time" with the guy who came up with we're on the same gang. His name is Michael Concepcion. Now, "Telling Time" is him talking with Dr. Dre from NWA, but the thing is, the hit begins with a fictitious Caucasian male saying, "Did you hear them colors are at it again in the ghetto? They're killing each other off. That's damn good. Now we don't have to do it." And that's what we come. Now this is 1990, and even though blacks versus blacks were happening, it wasn't in a multitude and before that. And then when it started growing, it was pointed out by that song and just kept on growing and growing and growing. And that's why I'm just saying that acknowledges the dysfunction in our communities.
When we leave out the history like white flight, then we miss context. Because economically, there was a time where our neighborhoods, when we were forced to be together, that we actually were doing those core group economics that you're talking about, Zacchaeus, right?
Oh, you talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, more than one. There was several. There were several so-called Black Wall Streets, if we want to get technical,
Streets,
right?
Rosewood, Ocoee, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But when we remove, when we don't acknowledge the context of white flight and what white flight has done, and those were led by so-called abolitionists, right? Although they a good portion of them fought for us to get free, but then they also said, yeah, but I don't want to live with them, And so what white flight did in a lot of these places in the city, before inner city was called inner city, right? You had all that wealth and all that resources that was going on within where our people were living. Once they left the cities, the major cities and stuff like that, and went to the suburbs, that also changed the conditions of the people that live within the city per se at the time, which could contribute to, and they've done this study, and it's a very fair study. Places where there's no employment or lack thereof or underemployment have the most crime, regardless of what they look like. Because if you ever do your research about the white people, the poor whites, they have a lot of crime against each other and a lot of and a lot of rugs. Because I don't know if you could say, that on YouTube, right? And I'm not even just talking about abuse, substance abuse selling. I'm talking about substance abuse using also. So anytime you have a neighborhood that lacks in resources, will also lack in education, and they will increase in the need for demand of resources, i.e. robbery, right? I think a lot of crime in terms of deletions happen when robbery happens is because somebody wants to fight for what they got. Because a lot of times when somebody got that thing pointed to your head, just give it up, right? Now, the sad part is, okay, they gave it up, and then now you want to still, bro, they gave it up. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of context to why things are the way they are. And if you want to look at the sickness, you need to go to the symptoms that cause the sickness, right? Because we definitely, and brother, where we from, there's always been a community prior to my generation, but also I'm old enough but young enough to remember this. Black culture, Black American culture, at least at some point, and even some in the Caribbean, right? The culture was you respect your elders, right? That was a big deal, right? Do we still have that as much? No.
Are you ready for the conversation as to why?
I'm getting there. So, because I'm talking about what we used to have, right? But I want to acknowledge that it was there. because I don't like the narrative that was never there, and we were just some carnivorous, savage people, because that's not true. Black Wall Street. You talked about Black Wall Street. Do you know how low the crime was in Black Wall Street? You on mute, Zacchaeus.
Oh yeah, it was very low. They had
very low.
Extremely. They had their own businesses and own striving. It was striving. Right. Matter of fact, they were wealthy.
Okay. So a thriving community.
Yes.
Right? Because this never gets talked about. A thriving community will always have low crime.
Yes.
Go ahead, KJ.
Well, first and foremost, I blame Reagan for the distribution of rugs on
back in the 80s.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of Reagan at all. Funnily enough, me and my government teacher back in high school got into so many heated debates about Ronald Reagan. That's how bad it was. I couldn't. I can't stand Reagan. I can't stand him for nothing.
Reaganomics.
But I can't absolve responsibility from the Black community though, because Fifth, you brought up one of the old rules when it comes to how Black people operated, especially when it came to elders.
Yes, sir.
Definitely you want to respect your elders, but how do you automatically dish out that respect while also teaching your children growing up that you have to earn that set of respect? And earning is through an effort you put in, through your livelihood, how you live and how you move over time, not by how old you get. There's a wide variety of younger individuals that have earned far more respect than what older individuals have acquired simply just through age. And that's just a fact. And I don't mean to sound like the representative for my generation, because trust and believe, when I say that a lot of us are wusses, I truly mean it, especially the men. A lot of the Gen Z males can be very unmasculine, to put it professionally. So, but the difference is that when it comes to the older generation, especially between the young men and the young women, we grew up in an environment where we were told, be seen, not heard. But also simultaneously, there was a lot of narratives that were being painted around us growing up that was just factually untrue. But we didn't have the opportunity to defend ourselves, because if we defended ourselves against an adult spreading that narrative, it was considered to be disrespectful. Why are you in a grown folks conversation? Stay out of grown folks conversations, even if that grown folk conversation is centered around you. And you're not allowed to defend yourself. That type of gaslighting that would end up having a child, once they become an adult, separate from their family entirely, because that's the type of toxic environment that they grew up in. Now, I know that we're talking about men, but let's talk about women for a minute. You want to know partially why we don't have the community that we used to? Because our generation knows, especially with the girls, that there was too many scenarios of girls telling you about the weird uncle that was touching everybody. And they was trying to tell you, but wouldn't nobody listen. So now you have these mentally traumatized adults that grew up in that environment, and the same community that talked about protecting the kids never showed up. Which is why I'm such an individualist now. You can't solely rely on every single person in your proximity. At some point, you have to rely on yourself, especially as a man. Because the same community that you're claiming needs to be more susceptible to children is the exact same community that has failed gradually over the past 3 decades, let alone. So As somebody that's 24, grew up without his dad, has 4 sisters that he never grew up with, had left in a lot of situations where he had to figure it out on his own, right? Thankfully, my growing up is not remotely close to the average situation that the average young black man experiences growing up in a single mother household. I thank God every day for my mom that she never told me you look just like your daddy in the most negative way possible. But trust and believe I've seen it. I've seen it, I've heard it one too many times. Thankfully, it wasn't coming from the mouth of my mother, but I've definitely heard it come out of the mouths of other mothers to young men that are my age. That's ridiculous. So when we're advocating for this community, when you're advocating for this respect your elders, it's kind of difficult to respect the elders when the elders have nothing to respect. And age has nothing to do with respect. I truly believe that we are the first generation to finally push back against the narrative when it comes to the whole narrative around elderly respect and not being able to assert your boundary that just because you're 50, 60, 70 years old does not give you the right to talk to me or treat me a certain way. I'm still an adult or I'm still a human being. What's wrong with our black community is that we raise our children to be obedient children and not raise them to be functional adults. And they never mentally mature past an adolescent. So what's the change?
I feel like what enables that, KJ, maybe you might disagree with this, is school. School teaches us to be really good employees, right? But never to be our own boss or never to
Right,
elevate
right,
ourselves. I feel
right.
like when you have what you just said right there, along with the system of the school, it's like, how do you push against that? You have to first of all identify what's going on, nip it in the bud, and then steer your child in a different direction, you know? And I grew up in a similar situation. I have 4 sisters, no dad, my mom, right? And the reason why I grew up to be, an okay adult, I'd say, is because, I never heard, there was never like a man hating vibe in my family or comparison to my dad or, any of that toxic stuff in regards to like other men. So, when it came to like being a good person, I was taught that. But as far as to being a man, I had to learn that by myself, and unfortunately, that's what's going on is, people are having to kind of like self teach themselves how to be a functioning human being. And unfortunately, you're either going to get someone that is functioning but isn't a good person, or someone that's not functioning and, this kind of like a nuisance to society, you know?
Yeah, let me good discussion. Don't get me wrong. Zacchaeus, we gotta have more episodes like this with the fellas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to get back to the topic, but I rock. I don't have a problem with what was talked about. That was good. So my question is this, man. Has modern society made family building less attractive to men these days?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Zacchaeus, you first, and then we need to get to Ray. We need to get his voice. Go ahead, Zacchaeus.
Yeah. They don't, you see, they don't, because remember, this society is ungodly. We live in an ungodly society where they call good evil and evil good. They push back against people promoting marriage. Because remember, because we just mentioned it. Right now. This is a feminist society. Right now, it's more feminist rights and LGBTQ rights. So no, that's not supported. 100%, that's not supported. No, it's not. It's almost like it's comatose. People getting married, having a family, and just doing it the way how God wants us to do it. So it's a lot of pushback against that, and you see it. They don't tell you it right away. They don't have to say it, but you see it. It's very much revealed. You see it, and and that's what it is. And this is the society that we're living in, where more promotion, where it's just is this rights, the feminist movement rights. You have so much pushback against the principles how God wants you to live. So we live in an ungodly society. So I say 100% yes. They don't have to promote family standards at all. No, absolutely not. No. I'm a land right there. Mm-hmm.
All right, Ray, has modern society made family building less attractive to men?
Most definitely, definitely less attractive. Because of the agendas are not mutual as they were before. They also were not they weren't mutual. There wasn't a there's no longer a collective goal, and it's a one-sided agenda as far as building, because it's like you either have the bag or you don't. That's what it's become. And we're living in times where what's also comatose is a man building his legacy without having to share his seed with a woman who has other seeds. So for a lot of factors, it's definitely become less desirable in that aspect.
Absolutely. Real quick, Meerkat.
Hey,
How you doing, Meerkat? Thanks.
I'm good. My daughter just left. It was her birthday this week. She was like 43. So
Oh,
Michael
wow.
took care of her.
Good, good. How you doing, sir? How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing well.
Good. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
How'd it
This is
go?
this is a it's not a men's only conversation per se, but it's definitely geared towards men, and I definitely wanted to get your perspective, sir. I appreciate you joining your wife on this episode with us today. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right. So I asked a question, and since you guys have come on now, and that is, has modern society made family building less attractive to men? And what I mean by modern society, I mean today's time.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, there's a myriad of issues where I think society as a whole has, compromised the whole concept for men to. Maybe it's just the world that they're so full of that you just hard to let your trust down to be part of what we want to believe was true. It's not today.
Yeah. Meerkat, what you think?
Okay, say the question again. What's the topic?
Yeah, the question that we're asking now is, has modern society made family building less attractive to men?
Yes, I think it has.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has because it's like respect for men is way down for whatever reason. And I think we had chatted about that earlier in the week or something.
Yes, ma'am.
How that feminists have, a long time ago when they became really popular, led women to believe that they could have, they could go out and make all the money and come home and make all the decisions. They were in control, and men were irrelevant. And I don't know if y'all ever heard of Dr. Laura Schlesinger. Anyway, she called them feminazis. That's what she called it, because they really filled women's head with a bunch of false superiority, almost, that they were superior to men, they were superior to each other. And it's like an avalanche. It started small, but then it has grown into what we see today. And for whatever reason, the decline of the family, it's just really sad. And I think the AB issue, and supposedly certain communities where they really push it, has really taken a toll on reducing the respect for families and stuff. I used to work at a clinic where you could go if you discovered you were pregnant and you needed resources, or it's a pregnancy crisis center. And we would get women in there that were, their moms would take them at like 16 to go have an AB, and they were having all kind of emotional problems and stuff like that later in life because of it. And it was just so sad. You know, they would come there and they could get a pregnancy test to verify whether they were pregnant, and sometimes they would come in thinking it was an AB clinic, and it was the total opposite. And they could do an ultrasound, and it was associated with the church. But anyway, the family has taken a toll on the family. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a woman hater, I guess I don't know, call it, but I don't like the attitude that all men are bad, you know, but I don't care for men, all women are bad.
Yeah.
But I've worked with some women, and I'm like, working with them and getting to know them through work. Sometimes you know them more than just friendship. Sometimes because they are who they are at work, you know. There's all the walls are down. But anyway, I would look at him like, how is she married? There's no way I could be married to that woman. You know, I mean, I would, and of course, I talk about my mom. My mom she kind of wore the pants in our family, you know, and we didn't like the way she talked to our dad. You know, I had a brother and two sisters. We didn't like the way my mom would talk to our dad and stuff like that. My dad was real passive. It was real quiet. And so it was, I don't know, growing up like that. And so I grew up with the attitude, I don't like women who are just, they got to wear the pants, you know, blah, 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 you know, it's like, but I didn't care for weak men either because of what I saw growing up, you know. I'll land there.
Yeah. Well said. Beyond the, has modern society made family building less attractive to men?
I think it depends how you look at it. Like for example, me, in my life, you know, grew up with no dad. I wasn't deterred from wanting to have a family. I actually wanted to have a family so that I can kind of like prove that I'm not my father, you know, be there for my kids, be there for my wife. So I've always been attracted to like having a family or so. I'm sure there are plenty of men out there that have that same feeling. But to answer your question overall, I would say overall, yes, because of this, the dating marketplace is just cooked. Women have changed, men have changed. I mean, the entire like dynamic that men and women used to like fall under is just drastically changed. You know, you go from "Hey, honey, I'm home" to "I don't cook, I don't clean, I get a ring," like Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Like the culture shift is insane. You know, you go from one end to the other. You know, so I'll say overall, yeah, men don't want to get married because like what's there before you can throw a rock and find a good man or find a good woman. Now you have to like, you know, chuck that much. You gotta like throw it far. So, you know, you gotta like be Superman and, you know, throw across the earth.
Good Lord.
You know what I mean? So men aren't finding any good quality women, so you know they're settling for being a bachelor and getting in when they fit in. And then women are, I mean, women, I guess. I don't know. They're gonna do what they want. I don't know. So
somebody has something to say to you. All right, it's all good, Zacchaeus. We know.
Lessons, man.
We'll see you next week.
Till next week, y'all. Take care.
All right. So, we have somebody who has a little bit of pushback for you. But also, I'm only bringing this up so you could further explain it so that you could own the narrative. So, when you talked about having a family, somebody responded and said, wrong reason to prove that you're not him. But I'm sure that's not 100% the reason why you want marriage and kids.
That was the initial reason growing up as a kid. Like growing up, that was my initial like thought. I'm not going to be my dad.
Right.
I want to prove it. Well, now that I know that I'm not validated by any of my friends or any of you guys, I'm validated by Christ. So I don't really I don't need validation from anyone else besides the one who made me.
That's right. Amen.
That's how I am. That's how I am today. Now, when I grew up, my thought process was definitely different. I definitely had a chip on my shoulder. And to some degree, you know, as a man, you're gonna always have one there to a degree. You know, you're always gonna be like, you know, trying to prove to someone that you're not a deadbeat or that you're not a bum. You know, you don't want people to look at you in a certain way, but for the most part, I don't really have like that kind of mindset because I'm free of. I've been absolved of a lot of things in my life that was, you know, holding me down, and you know, when I finally began to, you know, dive into that word, it just, you know, changes your whole POV on life, you know.
Yeah. KJ, you there? KJ had to step away. KJ, you
Yeah,
there?
yeah. I'm here.
All right.
I'm
It's
gonna
all
answer this
good.
question, and then I might have to step out for a little bit. If you're still on, I'll come back.
It's okay, no problem. You able to answer the question before you go?
Yeah. Repeat it one more time.
Yeah, the has society made family building less attractive to men?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to make it quick, I've already brought up how feminism has definitely played a big influence in how we as society look at a traditional family system, let
Yeah.
alone a nuclear family system. And because of the narrative that's driven around it, the first thing that they make it seem as though is that a traditional family setting is a dictatorship that's led by the man, inherently patriarchal, and they use patriarchal in a negative connotation.
Yeah.
So that narrative has pretty much run rampant all across the media, all across social media and mainstream media, um, especially more prevalent while I was in high school. It's pretty much already established itself. Now we have women, especially within our own communities, that look at marriage as a net negative, as opposed to looking at the benefits that it could pose to her long term. Um, Men don't feel incentivized to get married anymore because of how the legal system works when it comes to divorces, when it comes to child support that can follow along with it if you have kids in the marriage as well. There's just for the average man, it's just too many liabilities that come with a marriage, and I would argue that the vast majority of those liabilities were developed from the narrative that has been created to make traditional family settings look like, I've already said, dictatorships, patriarchal led dictatorships.
I forgot about that part too. I was gonna actually add on to what he said. You know, we had podcasts like Fresh and Fit or whatever.
No, don't name them.
No,
No.
which was oh no, we can't. I don't blame the player. I blame the game. You know, the game
Okay.
made it to where people like them could exist. If
Got you.
society had been working the way it's supposed to be working, they wouldn't have been concepted, or we wouldn't have seen the conception of that podcast. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
as a result of that, you know, they're pretty much pushing men away from getting married in the first place. And a lot of men agree with them, saying that, oh yeah, women are cooked or whatever. We're not going to marry them, blah blah blah. We're gonna, you know, do our thing and power. Like it's a very individualistic podcast. It doesn't really preach family. You know what I mean?
It pushes soloism. It pushes soloism, absolutely, but it also it oh God. I don't want to talk about them anyway. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I wasn't trying to make it a thing. I was just saying.
Yeah.
I was just saying as an example. I was just like kind of like saying like, hey, listen, the byproduct of like how cooked the dating is why they exist. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable. I got something that's going to be very interesting, and I'm gonna actually let Ray answer this first if he can. So here's a direct response to that question, right? Here's a good follow up because I think this is economically factual. Is financial readiness delaying family formation too much?
No. I know because the thing is, a lot of people, a lot of us who were conceived, there was no financial planning involved. So no, it's not. I wouldn't say it's delaying. It certainly isn't stopping. It's just that there are just some people who choose to go into it from a financially responsible perspective, and then there are a lot of us who don't. A lot of us who have gotten conceived. I'm not specifically saying every single one of us in Seattle, but a lot of us were not properly financially planned. It was you went to a party, you met at a club, smash, and a baby come out. So no, it hasn't delayed or stopped. No, it hasn't.
So okay, let me get to Beyonda, because Beyonda, there's some things to that question, and what's actually happening in this time, because we do have some things slowing down. Is financial readiness delaying family formation too much?
Overall, no. What Ray said is actually spot on. A lot of people aren't born out of love; they're born out of desire, like lust or whatever. I would say that there's definitely a percentage of people who put off being married because of being able to afford the ring, or I need a better job. That's definitely that aspect to why men hold off on getting married, or maybe buying that house, or having that child. There's definitely that aspect to it. I say overall, no. I mean, the hookup culture is still active. Fifth, it hasn't gone away. Now, is there pushback to it? Yes, that's a good thing. We're seeing pushback to that culture. It's not a big push, but it's a push. And hopefully, if we get more people waking up saying, "Hey, we need to go away from sexual immorality and go towards divine morality," it might, it's not going to fix it over time, but it'll, slowly go back into the direction that we were supposed to be doing it anyway. So,
Mr. Michael and Meerkat, the question is financial readiness delaying family formation too much? And here's what the question is asking. It's asking economically, are things so expensive that now men and women are taking longer time to decide whether they want marriage and children? That's really what the question is really trying to ask.
Damn.
I personally feel, if the relationship is based on love and for the right reasons, love finds a way.
Mm-hmm.
There is no economic hardship that trumps that. If there's children involved, the relationship's based not an experience at a club that turned into a child, or if it's for the right reasons, economics is not going to be a factor.
Right.
I don't think it has I just think there's too many relationships developed on false pretense or lust, not what it should be. And usually those relationships won't last if they're not founded on, what's good and right, And not saying that, love can't be found along the way, after the fact, um, yeah, I don't think it's going to make a difference in not getting involved. Um, you know, timing, you can't time that. It's just is.
Yeah. Meerkat, what you think?
I think that it won't stop. The finances. You always find a way to do what you want to do. People do and make time for the things they want to make time for. So yes, if two people, usually they're young, or usually if they're older, they're already established. They may have their own houses and that sort of thing on their own careers and that, and they join together. But you're talking about with a younger couple, they will stay in an apartment, they'll go live in a trailer, they'll do whatever to be together. So I don't think it would stop them from. Now, parents may advise their kids, or the parents, or even help with the down payment. A lot of times, if the kids are in good standing with the parents, um, you know, uh, of course, some kids think that they ought to be able to get into a $300,000 house because that's what they grew up in. You got to start off small. But if you will have a healthy attitude toward your cost of living, no, it won't play a part in people joining together, getting married, and starting a family. I mean, there's how many people do you know that started off, rough, but they gradually worked up to a small house, and then they got, or maybe a trailer, and then they were able to get into a house, but in a car.
Realistic expectations.
Yeah, realistic expectations. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, I mean, you could answer it how there's context to it. I'll get to it after I ask KJ the question. KJ, if you can still hear me, is financial readiness delaying family formation too much?
Yeah. Majority of that is just a stupid amount of inflation that we've been dealing with. Not even just recently with this war that we're involved in, which personally I am very pissed off about because I just started driving recently and these gas prices are pissing me smooth off. But the aside from that, yeah, there's like just put it to perspective.
Yeah.
Average the average household income, I believe, is about 90 grand, if not more. I think if I'm not mistaken, the average salary for, just the average American, which the average American is almost pushing the poverty line, if not completely on the poverty line. That's ranging between 40 to 55 grand per year.
Yeah.
So just on income alone, the average American isn't able to afford basic necessities because of what I personally believe to be the mass inflation that we've been dealing with, not even just from recently, but just over the course of since the pandemic, namely. So it's definitely discouraged the average American of do I even want to worry about being in a relationship, especially given on how a lot of us were raised, and me especially, right? You want to, you want to grow up, be wealthy, or at least successful enough so that you can have a wife and have kids and be able to take care of them and be the man that you're supposed to be. That's what I was told, right? But looking at it now, you know, Shotty telling me she want 4 kids. I don't even know if I want 2. It's like,
or the one.
right. Kids on average cost $250,000. That's from birth to 18. Now multiply that times 4. You need me to basically spend $1 million on 4 kids. I don't have $1 million. Like, I'm just now about to start going to school, and I don't even know for certain with the profession that I'm going in, if I would even be able to make 6 figures, right? Or if I do make 6 figures, will it be valuable enough in today's economy? Like, these are the questions that I'm asking myself as an adult. Do I want to get married? Absolutely. But if I, at 24, am just now starting to be on that financial threshold to where I can function on my own properly, right? I probably won't see myself getting married until like maybe my early to mid 30s, because that's how long it's probably going to take, if not longer than that. And I'll be fresh out my prime. I mean, I'm sexy now, but it's like, shit, you never know. You never know.
I want to also kind of add in perspective, and KJ, I feel that you're a brother that knows these information too, and that is childbirth is down.
Oh yeah, exponentially.
Right, and they are contributed that to the economy and what people can afford, and a lot of women are waiting. It says that a lot of women are waiting longer before they have their first kid. That age is a little higher. Men are waiting a lot longer to get married. And a lot of this is economically driven. So, I mean, economics do play a role and maybe how soon you start your family doesn't mean that you don't have one at all. But economically, things are affecting the younger generation that's coming up. You know what I'm saying? Of they're looking at maybe their parents and how their parents may have struggled when they had them. And so what happens is that put the fear of God in them for some of them, you know. And then now they're like, okay, well, I don't know if I even want a kid. And then also we know that yesterday's price is not today's price.
Mhm.
Yesterday's 50,000 a year is very different from 50,000 a year now. The real estate market, rent, all of these things are a lot higher now than they were in the early 90s. Yes, your salary was different in the early 90s, but guess what? In the early 90s, I remember this as a young kid from New York, right? I remember when back in the 90s where you could have an apartment in New York, and it don't necessarily got to be the hood, but you could have an apartment, right? And still have money in your pocket by yourself. You can't do that now in New York and most cities. You know, I'm in Houston now. You can't even do that here. You need more than what was required, and you have less money to save. So when we put those factors into it, I don't think the surprise is that families are being created later than they were before. I don't think that's a surprise.
But let me ask you this: okay, so you meet someone, okay, you're renting an apartment or what? Maybe living at home. Um, she's renting an apartment or living at home. But if you join together, and pay for one rent, you got one utility bill, those sort of things. That makes sense right there.
That
Um,
gets into a whole separate issue though, because you got to understand, like, that may be okay with you and Mr. Michael, hypothetically, if both of you were my age and y'all were settling in, right? But I'm speaking from firsthand experience. I'm pretty sure my generation of men, we get emasculated on the regular. So
Yes, I agree.
and
that
that's
fit
wrong.
that
I
fifty
agree.
fit that
That's
fifty
wrong.
50 thought process, right? Although it would be reasonable, feasible, because women are functioning adults too. Women know how to work,
Right.
women know how to produce labor, make their
That's
own
right.
money, right? The idea is still ingrained in the average woman's head that I want a man to provide for me. So if a man were to suggest, hey, we're going to have to go 50-50 because I can't afford to take care of both of us with all these utilities, right? Especially within the vast majority of these apartments. If they listen, if you stay longer than 2 weeks, they're going to consider you moved in. And guess what's going to go up? My lease agreement.
Right.
Everything's going to increase. So if
Right.
you're going to stay here, I'm going to need your help. And guess what she's going to do? Bye, nigga. I don't want nothing to do with you.
But
So
then
it's just like,
she wouldn't be right for you then,
Wait,
right?
wait.
KJ, just try your best with that. But anyway,
oh,
go
my
ahead,
bad, my
Meerkat.
bad,
I'm
my
sorry.
bad. I got comfortable. My bad, my bad.
Oh,
But go ahead, Meerkat. What was you about to say? And then Deanna has a question. Yeah.
Society has definitely put the whammy on the younger generation. I can tell you, I'm 60. I'll be 65 years old this year, and the prices
Congratulations.
God
the
bless.
prices are housing. Housing in the 70s and 80s was 40, $50 a square foot. Now it's $150 a square foot. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost impossible for this generation to be able to put it together. Inflation, the devaluation of the dollar, the pay raise. Yeah, you're making more money, but it costs twice as much. So it's not keeping in pace with the revenue stream, and anyone's income is not keeping pace with the cost. And that just puts an entire hardship on any relationship. And that's why I can see why men and women, even if you are equally yoked with the same hopes and dreams, it's still going to be an incredible hardship.
Well said, because Mr. Michael, although you have, and then I'm gonna get to beyond this question, and then I'm gonna wrap it up at the 2 hour mark. This has been a good show. So, Mr. Michael, this is what I'm seeing now, sir. What I'm seeing is that let's just say the marriage still happens, but in terms of the husband and the wife, the young husband and wife having kids, maybe they wanted 3, but now they're just going to settle for 1. And they're going to wait a little longer before they have that 1 child. And it also is going to affect the home that they live in and the school system they put their children in. So that's what we're seeing as we go further and up. Right?
Well,
yeah, go ahead, sir.
Not replacing the workforce, and with AI is another issue. You know, the people retiring won't have the revenue stream to support because of the birth rate is so low.
Mr. Michael, hold on. I like to play sound effects. Let me go ahead and drop a bomb. Oh, man. Wow. That is a reality that some of us are still grasping. But it's coming.
It's real.
And you know, Mr. Michael, I'm 39 years old, right?
Look.
In my lifetime, I've always seen the price go up, but I've never seen it come down.
That's right.
Beyonda, you had a question?
No, I was waiting for you to ask the next question. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. Don't worry. So let me kind of move ahead. And I'm gonna get to you, Beyonda, first. And that is this, because this would be kind of like the last thing we could kind of touch on before we go. Well, maybe 2 things. Hey, Meerkat, you're the only woman on the panel, so I can ask you this.
Okay.
And then you could be the only one to answer it since you're the lady on the panel, and then I'll get to the other question.
Okay.
What role are women expecting men to play in building strong families?
From what I've heard, and you know, some of these pod panels and stuff like that, I mean, they don't want to do the housework. You know, they want to go out and work. They, you know, they're bored. They, you know, they wouldn't want to stay home because they get bored. So they want the kids in daycare. They want to go to work. But I think they expect the man to almost role reverse, almost like a woman. They want them to do the women, and they want to go do the least amount. That's just what I hear, you know, and see, and you can even see on the shows on TV, you know, the reality shows. But I don't know if half of them know how to clean a house. I mean, I've cleaned up after people, and that's the thing that baffles me the worst. It's like working a broom and a mop and a vacuum cleaner is like brain surgery. I don't understand it, you know, because that's a big thing. That's a big thing, and keeping the house clean, keeping the clothes washed. I mean, that's a big thing. It's stressful. If you got a yard, you got to cut grass and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know if I'm chasing rabbits or whatever, but you know, I think that's what they expect. They want them to go out and make all the money, and then they want them to come home and, you know, take up the slack or whatever. And I don't know. It's a balancing act that's not taught how to be balanced. You know, and it's like, who are these? Who has trained these people growing up? You know, this generation or whatever. Is it a one-parent household? Is it foster care households? Is it, you know, they grow up with just mom, or they grow up with just dad? I know that there's more women boot scooting, and there's more dads with custody. Raising the kids, and a woman cannot teach a boy how to be a man. I'm sorry, but you cannot do it. And men cannot teach a little girl how to be a lady.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I think that's the misinformation that's been passed down to kids. And that's why this generation, I think partly because they have the attitude they have, or they grew up in a household where the parents did well and they're expecting to leave their parents home, go get a college degree and get a job making $1 million a year. So does that answer the question?
Yeah. One more. Beyond, you still have a couple minutes? Because I know you said you had to go. Okay, good. Because I'm going to wrap it up. I just wanted to let Meerkat answer another question because it's for the ladies and she's the only lady on the panel. So, Meerkat, this next question I'm going to ask you is, what do women think society loses when men disengage from leadership and mentorship?
Oh, that's a tough question. This is a thought-provoking question.
Breaks the family fabric.
I don't think they look at men the same. Am I on the right track? Read the question again.
I will, yeah. What do women think society loses when men disengage from leadership and mentorship?
Security.
Mm-hmm.
Because men are supposed to be natural leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes the burden off of women.
If they allow it.
So, yeah, like Michael said, if they allow it. Deep down, they don't realize. I think women, these younger women, don't realize, but they want someone to make the hard decision. It's too much, but you don't learn that until you get older.
Yeah.
It's too much to carry. It's too much of a weight to carry on your shoulders, and it wears you out over time. But by that time, you're alone and,
family's broken.
You got kids and everything's messed up, and I don't know. I see so many I see all the homeless people, and it's like, how do you even answer that question?
Why?
So I think it's a sense of security.
Yeah. No, that's good. Let me ask the fellas a different question. Unless y'all want to answer that from a man's perspective. No? Okay.
Answer.
Yeah. So I have this question. Are we raising, as a society, right? Even for some of us who have kids or don't, are we raising builders or consumers?
Consumers.
Go ahead, KJ.
Definitely consumers. So part of it is how you're taught at an early age by your parents, but I truly believe that adulthood really does shift your perspective on everything that you were raised in, every principle that you were raised in growing up. So when you have a a market that has pushed for go to college, get a decent paying job, graduate, get a decent paying job, and be able to function for yourself and the family that you're looking to build, or should I say that you've been slated to build. Right, a lot of men are no longer falling for that narrative. Not that it's a bad narrative, but a lot of men are just desensitized to that idea. So rather than actually build their own wealth, come up with efficient plans for not only themselves long term, but for a potential family, they are more tied with consuming a lot of things, and a lot of these things are wants, not necessarily needs, right? Like average gaming population, as a gamer myself, is predominantly male. So you could bet that the market is going to gravitate towards
the male demographic, and the men are going to consume and consume just about any and everything that, whether it be Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony produces to the gaming community, right? And we eat that up right out the gate. Um, but rarely do you ever see, well, I love these video games. How do I build my own? How do I take inspiration from some of the video games that have made my childhood and begin to build that into something that is somewhat connected with that, but is something that I can call my own, right? So I can be able to profit off of that. The average man doesn't take advantage of the free market capitalist system that we have. And because of that, it's presented that we are suffering under this capitalist system as opposed to, gaining knowledge on how the system actually works so that we can improve as individuals. I hope that answered the question.
That was perfect, man.
Yeah.
Good elaboration.
Cool.
Yeah.
I,
All right.
I
Yeah, go
got
ahead. Go ahead.
a thought on that. As consuming people that this generation, it can go all the way back to governmental NAFTA when we decided we're not going to make anything or create anything and offshore everything and consume everything. Or these generation coming behind me, I was an HVAC contractor for 40 years, and we could find help 20 years ago, but we couldn't find help 15 years, 10 years ago to do what I done for a living. They wanted the air condition, but they didn't want to install it. They wanted the air condition, but they didn't want to know how it worked. And when you lose that skill set or to be able to transfer that knowledge um, to the next generation, then you're only left with, how do I obtain it? I want to consume it, but I don't want to know what it takes to build it, create it. And the free market is really huge, because trading dollars for hours, you're never going to realize the American dream. You got to create it, you got to build it, you got to make it rain. And I wish this generation would have those that hope for the future, because there's a better way besides trading dollars for hours. And when you don't have that desire to learn that, you really you're at the mercy of somebody else that knows how.
Absolutely. Did anybody else want to elaborate more on that question before we get to the last one?
Yeah, I agree with KJ completely.
Yeah.
Mark Twain said, "We suffer more in imagination than we do reality." And there's so much truth to that, because a lot of times, like I said before, is in regard to the school system, right? I was saying that, the school and the senior project and all that stuff, all that BS is to make you a good employee, not a good employer.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's a lot easier to be at someone's beck and call than it is to rise up to the occasion and become entrepreneur or a boss or someone that pushes the needle, moves the needle and pushes the envelope.
Yeah.
I remember Donald Trump. I don't agree with that man, a lot of things he does, but I agree with him when he said this. He said that we don't make anything, we don't build anything. Americans don't do anything. And they're like, "Oh, how can you say that?" Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, it's kind of true. Like, we don't have people that are multi-talented or multi-skilled. Like, we just don't have it like that anymore. People have gotten lazy. I fall in that category here and there. I'm definitely making a living for myself and I'm doing fine. But as we all collectively have thrown up our hands and like, oh, well, it's just easier to have someone else do it, rather than us do it ourselves, So I would say that the consumer, I guess you can call it an era, but it's been a thing for the past 20 years. Consuming, it's gotten worse with streaming. It's gotten worse with the TV and the marketing and advertisement. All of it has contributed to us, you know,
Creating is consuming.
just consuming and not, out there and doing it ourselves. Like there's so many YouTube videos. If you don't know how to do something, look it up.
Right. That's
You
right.
were so quick to call someone or so quick to, rely on someone else that we just don't have. We kind of like dilute our own skills as human beings. Human beings are very, very intelligent. We're all intelligent. We all have the ability to do a lot of things, basic things, right? But we just, we sacrifice the basic things and trade that for entertainment.
Yeah. I actually have two questions to end this off with. So I'm going to start with the first one, and then I'm going to ask Ray if he wants to answer this first. And that is, it's kind of a personal question, right? But it could be answered anyway. When your life is over, what responsibility do you hope you fulfilled beyond yourself?
That I was generous, that I was considerate, that and that for the most part I kept my word.
Absolutely. Who wants to answer that next?
Mine's really quick. Mine is to tell the truth and live by it. What's the truth? Right? Jesus is the truth. And you live by the way of the cross. That's what I, would like to. I'm responsible for that, though. I'm responsible to do that, because I'm not small. If I don't live by that, right, then I'm responsible for my sin in the end. And I don't want to be responsible for my sin in the end. We know what that means. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give. Actually, you know what's funny about that, Fifth? I want to be responsible for following, right? Because Jesus took all the responsibility himself. I'm just gonna follow him. That's what. Hope that answered that question.
Yeah, understood. Mr. Michael, the question: when your life is over, what responsibility do you hope you fulfilled beyond yourself?
I would like to believe I helped people, that I walked out a good life, and I'll be missed, by people who felt I was necessary in their life.
Absolutely, Meerkat. Your time. What do you think?
That I was kind, that I loved people, that I encouraged people, that that I was well thought of and well loved, and that I gave, instead of took. So that's what I would like. That's my legacy. That's what I want people to say about me when I'm gone. That's
Yeah,
the impression I wanted to make on their life. I made people feel loved. I made people feel like they had someone they could come to, and uh, they were safe. That my home was always a safe place. That they felt at home with me, around me. So
absolutely, KJ. When your life is
Yes,
over,
sir.
what responsibility do you hope you fulfilled beyond yourself?
Uh, First, godly. Gotta put
Mm-hmm.
God first every time.
Yep.
Responsible, kind, accountable, um, selfless, and brotherly. One of the most important thing to me right now is being the brother that my sisters are entitled to. Maybe the baby brother, but I'm still the only brother. You got to be the protector. So, um, just that's been my biggest concern. That, as well as being a reliable mentor, and father-esque figure to my nephew. Shout out AP.
Yeah.
And he's about to turn 3 actually in a few months, so that's cool. But yeah, just really those things that I listed off, primarily being brotherly and reliable to my sisters, and just leading by example for my nephew.
Absolutely. I'm going to actually answer it. And I would say that I would hope that it was said that I was a good son, not only a good teacher, but a good listener, someone who not only lived by the word, but also taught it, someone who was an ambassador for me, my family, and my culture. Just a really good representative, someone who has helped others, someone who was considerate, a man of integrity, honor, someone who was not only just accountable to myself, but also accountable to others. A man who, I'm gonna borrow what, Ray said, a man of his word. Not a perfect man, but a man who definitely tried. And when failed, that there was still effort applied. And to aspire, inspire, encourage, and who fulfilled his purpose, and a job well done.
Amen.
Yeah. So I want to thank everybody today for coming on. I think this was a great show. It's probably one of my best
I agree.
because of the topic, and because of everyone who contributed today. I love all of y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Mr. Michael. Thank you for coming on. I definitely was moved by the things that you said. Personally, I respect that. I thank you for coming on. And I want to thank Meerkat. Meerkat, thank you for your friendship. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I met you on TikTok, and I'm just glad that happened, Beyonda, thank you, sir. Of course. You've been a friend to me ever since I met you, and I appreciate that. Ray, thank you, brother. I met you through Zacchaeus, and I've always respected and honored you, man. I really did. I love that, and then you're also my friend as well. So I definitely respect that, And KJ, thank you, brother. Thank you for coming on today. And you're someone I whether you know it or not, I pay attention to when you come on my show, and I definitely hear what you have to say. When you come on my TikToks. And I would like to do future business with you, and we'll definitely keep in touch about that, outside of TikTok, okay? So
Absolutely.
I appreciate you coming on today. I'm definitely going to have you back.
Appreciate you for having me, man.
Thursday
Absolutely.
was best.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
Yeah. Thursday's stream.
I
did double duty.
You did, man. I was there almost the whole night, and I got tired.
Yeah, that was a doozy. I was I ended up making it. You went live while I was on the way to work. I literally just left to go to work, and I don't think you ended it until like I was halfway out of work.
That's crazy. I was there from the beginning. I got there at 1 p.m. and I was there. I was the first one there, right?
Yeah.
And off the record, even though I know it's going to be on the record, but off the record, I thought my friend was going to be here. And you know what? Yeah, you told me.
So
you know, I thought my friend was gonna be
There
here, and
you are.
I made special preparations in case she tried to play with me
Yeah.
on this
I'm
podcast.
so KJ, we will have a discussion.
All right.
She will be up here next week. She is a regular of this show,
Yeah, I
but
know.
today she couldn't make it. But she's a regular of this show, so me and you will talk. Okay, I'll try to have both y'all on at the same time. Okay?
I'll anticipate.
Hey, I'll be
I'm way
I'll be here.
I'm way more civil on YouTube than I am on TikTok. That much I will admit.
Absolutely.
He's so aggressive. I'm like, yeah. So what's wrong with that?
I'm just blunt like that. I'm just blunt.
Shout outs to my superstar Jess. Shout outs to her.
Yeah.
So before we go, I just want to announce my Thursday topic for TikTok.
Oh.
So this Thursday afternoon, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 Central, it's kind of a continuation of last week's two topics.
Oh, Lord.
And that is, if we go 50-50, who leads?
Oh my gosh.
That will be on TikTok Live with Fifth. All right.
You know where that's gonna go.
That's
That's gonna suck.
It's predictable.
It's gonna be crazy if you have Jess and Dr. Love on that show.
Yeah.
End of that.
Yeah. Shout outs to Dr. Love. But we shall see. But I'm announcing it since
Let me get as much sleep as possible for that, because that one's gonna exhaust me. I already know.
Absolutely, and then that'll basically wrap that series up, and then I'll have a whole lot of things. You know how I like to do. I do different topics every week, so you know. Hey, does anybody want to announce, like, because I do this, you know? Hey, Ray, you want to let people know where they can reach you? You know.
As I always say, my whole government name is on Facebook, and I have a TikTok page and I have an Instagram page. You know, reach me on Instagram, Bannister Ray C, and I'll see you.
Oh, for those who don't know, his tag name on TikTok is Ultram. So this is Ray. Ray and Ultram are the same person. So if you've seen him come on my TikToks, that's Ray is Ultram. Okay. So for those who don't recognize his voice, all right. Beyond you want to let people know where they can reach you at?
So far I got nothing. I haven't really
It's okay.
So you know, when I get my mojo back, I'm gonna get back into, you know, the streaming and all that stuff. And so right now I'm kind of like on ice, but eventually I'll be, you know, starting up.
Well, definitely they should get in touch with you. People do like you, brother. I do see in the comments. I do get inboxes from people, and people do expect you to be on my panel because they're used to you now.
Well, they should be. I've been here since, you know, not since day one, because I wasn't there day one, but I first month.
Yes, you was. You've been there since January. That's what I'm talking about. You're right. Yeah. There you go. So I want to announce that July, I have a date. I'm doing a special marathon stream.
19th.
July 19th on TikTok. 12-hour streaming event.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm going to have co-hosts so far, Beyonda and Zacchaeus have put their names in a hat to have their own slot time during that marathon.
Okay.
And it's going to be multiple topics. It's going to be a lot of things going on. I'm on a road to 1,000 followers. And, you know, I have an interesting journey. When I started doing lives on TikTok, I had less than 50, you know, and now I'm at 400. So I'm on a road to 1,000 and more, obviously, as long as I'm consistent, you know. You know, I started these TikToks 3 days a week to 2 days a week to now one due to engagement purposes, obviously. But, you know, that's what I want to do. July 19th. I'm doing that is on Sunday. I'm doing a 12-hour marathon stream, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Y'all pray for me.
Yeah, you're gonna need it. Depends on the topics too.
I know, right? KJ, you want to let people know where they can reach you, man?
Absolutely. You know it underscore KJ, UNOIT underscore KJ on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Also, a big shout out to Forefront TV, who's actually commented on the video a couple of times.
Absolutely.
He's the one that put me on the map when it comes to TikTok streaming. So all honor and deference goes to my brother over there on that other side. Who just recently had a baby, by the way. Shout out to my boy.
Yeah.
Dealing with daddy duty right now as we speak. I'm sure of it. I'm gonna meet my niece in a minute, but yeah, he put me on the map with TikTok. So once I get out of Texas and move back to my homeland of Detroit, Michigan, we will be back on the mix with the weekly live stream or the daily live streams, weekdays. On
Wow.
TikTok with the controversial topics, but I want to make sure I settle in with my finances and be prepared when I move back first. So no distractions. But yeah, definitely you know it, KJ, on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And also I have an editing page as well on TikTok where I post those cool edits, like those Spider-Man edits you've been seeing on TikTok. I do those too. At you know it's Koji, UNOITZKOJI. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Meerkat, anything you want to announce? People to get in
No,
touch with you?
I'm just a consumer of social media.
Real.
I don't have any, we have rental properties, so we have Airbnbs. So yeah, they're down in South Louisiana and around the fishing communities and stuff like that, Venice and Port Sulphur and Buras. So that's our retirement supplemental income. Speaking of economics.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, look, I have just the utmost respect for you guys. Y'all are so impressive in your thinking and your expectations of yourself and knowing who you are. Know who you are. That is a big thing. If you don't know who you are, other people are going to tell you and they're going to be wrong. It's okay to listen to someone or another man or whatever, say, look, I see this about you, blah, blah, blah. Take good advice, but y'all are impressive, and I'm just so impressed with y'all. Y'all are not disrespectful to me, and I hope I've not been disrespectful to you guys. But it's just I love it seeing positive, men with healthy attitudes of the right things. But anyway, I just want to pass that on to y'all. It touches me a lot. Y'all don't realize how y'all's age and everything, what y'all have seen and probably what y'all have walked through growing up. It's just I love it. I love seeing you guys with healthy attitudes and that sort of thing, positive, and being entrepreneurs. That's making your own way and asking for help when you need it, but that's and sharing what you know. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Michael. Thank you.
Welcome, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Meerkat. No, you've been great. So you've been great. All right. So, sorry, that's my other show. Fifth at Night every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Central on YouTube, Fifth General TV. Y'all can reach me at the Fifth General, Facebook, Instagram, and X. Fifth General TV on TikTok, Fifth General TV on YouTube. All right. And see y'all next week. For those who follow me on TikTok, see you TikTok Thursday. All right. 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 Central. All right. Take care, y'all.
Yeah.
Be blessed. See y'all.